All right, so I am actually here with Dr. Sheila Boehning, who is my current middle school principal, and she's going to tell us about her expertise with Moodle and other learning management systems. So thank you for doing this interview. So just go ahead and describe your experience with learning management systems or Moodle in specific.
Okay, I've worked with students in education from kindergarten through master's degree programs, and we've used technology in all of those levels. So in one of the schools, I helped launch a system that used iPads for elementary schools, and they used Moodle in those elementary classrooms. And then in the middle school, high school, they would use Moodle as well as Edmodo, and then other management systems as well. I can't even remember. There's so many different ones. My most experience is with Blackboard at the university level. It has a really great interface. It's used in several of the universities that I taught in. And then Moodle is the one that I used most with middle school and high school students.
Awesome. So what do you look for as far as options for what students can be able to do, what teachers can be able to do with an LMS?
I think it's important in the classrooms that are on-site classrooms for students to still be able to do a lot of things on-site. And so it's a blend, not a takeover. So like at the college level, they're online, so you want them to be able to be conversational. But at the middle school, high school level, you want them to enhance the learning process, not take over the learning process, so that they're still communicating in the classrooms. So I look for ways that they can use technology to aid the learning. So can they do videos? Can they do discussion forums that enhance learning? Can they build things together? Can they do collaborative learning? But still, they're talking face-to-face, and they're still working face-to-face as well.
Awesome. So what do you think the biggest advantage is for a learning management system? Do you think it's that online collaboration in the classroom?
Yeah. You know, my dissertation was actually in using Moodle in a language arts classroom in 8th grade. And so I did a lot of research on, it was qualitative and quantitative analysis of using Moodle. And what we found is that it aided the classroom learning. Like those students who were quieter actually would talk in the Moodle classroom in the conversations. And so then that transferred into the actual classroom, that when a teacher led discussion, those students talked more. And then it also encouraged students, because students who were quieter, because they didn't speak a lot, they were often deemed as maybe not as intelligent. And so then the other students began to respect them more, and then in the classroom, they wanted them to talk more. So it just really worked out well, so that those quieter students weren't dominated by the dominating personalities who spoke all the time. Also, we saw the students write better. It increased their writing skills, as long as you have those rules that they can't use the lingo.
Expectations are important.
Exactly, yeah. And so they actually became stronger in their writing skills as well. Then we used it also cross-culturally, where you could get involved in learning from other schools, and so you learned from those teachers in those classrooms as well.
So would you say that's probably the biggest advantage to learning, is that online community, being able to have everything together and building the community?
Yeah. And also, just a side note, I love it for middle school kids because they tend to lose a lot. And so all of the information's right there. The notes are there, they hand their papers in right there, so it focuses more on the learning.
All right, so what would you say is the biggest drawback or limitation of using Moodle or another learning management system?
I think sometimes when teachers start to use Moodle, they forget to have students still draw and to still color and to still make 3D type projects. And then they turn to all the technology, and it's one type of learning strategy, not the end all. So I think it's also, again, you have to always train the students about the bullying and about what they say can go anywhere. But I just think there's a lot of good things about using Moodle.
Okay, so how would you compare Moodle to other LMSs that you have experience with?
Okay, with Moodle compared to Blackboard, Blackboard is, I think, much better for higher level learning. For university level, I think for something as simple as middle school or even high school, you don't need all of the bells and whistles that Blackboard has. It's a lot more expensive too, and Moodle's free, and free is always pretty good.
Always
great. Edmodo, I like Edmodo, except I would say Edmodo probably wasn't one of my favorites, but I love their, they have a lot of tools, a lot of library of resources, videos of resources. They have learning lesson plans, so if you dig into that, you can find lesson plans already set for different topics. So I like the community for teachers that Edmodo provides, whereas Moodle doesn't do that at all. Moodle is purely a platform. My Big Campus is another platform that we used a little bit. I thought it was a little bit more involved than Moodle. I just like the simplicity of Moodle. One thing I found though too is that at our high school, I trained teachers in Moodle and actually in Apple usage K through 12. And then at the high school, they started trying to use a whole lot of different platforms. And it's just too confusing to the kids because, first period they go and they use Edmodo for that teacher. And second period they go to Moodle and use that one. And we finally just put rules down that said, you know what, this is what we're going to use. We can't have 6 different platforms that students use all day. So we have to be careful not to confuse the kids because teachers are just picking their favorites.
That's true. That's a great point. So how have you seen Moodle individualize student learning?
Yeah. I love to hear their thoughts in discussion forums. Because I taught language arts, we would do a lot with social issues and with books that we read. And I love to watch them share their thoughts because they felt comfortable. And so I think it individualized that way, and then you could put it into a group chat. And so they were more vulnerable in a good way in that. Also, they were able to do things that focused on their skills. So those that were designers, we used SketchUp a lot. So they would do projects that they would put in Moodle that would do the SketchUp. I did quizzes that was just really quick. Formative assessments that I would do. My students ended up making iBooks out of their research papers, and they shared those through the Moodle platform. So it was a great way to share other types of technology they had done in other projects, but they shared it in that platform because, again, it was right there. Everybody just went to the one classroom because Moodle is like walking into a literal classroom, but in a virtual world.
Right, so what do you think the most important thing is for teachers to know about integrating Moodle or being careful of integrating?
I think they just have to be flexible, and understand that technology is new for a lot of people. And when students do say that they couldn't get on the night before, or they couldn't get something to work, a lot of them are truly telling the truth. And it doesn't always work well. And I think to be able to have a plan B, there were times I would walk into school and all of a sudden the Wi-Fi didn't work, and so I always had to have a plan B. And to be understanding with those kids with technology, because as much as we want to say they have to have it, unless we have, like I did in my old district, where we handed them the laptops that were Apple laptops, it's hard. We have to just be really flexible and understanding, and also to realize that we're training them for the 21st century and for the working world and for college. And so there are a lot of academic skills they need to know with Moodle.
Great. So what kind of features would you like to see in the ideal learning management system?
Wow. I love it.
Think about through what were some of the reasons why Moodle was the thing for SES?
I loved it because honestly it's free. And with the budgets that we have in education, free is really good. And I think it's an easy platform to learn. It's a very user-friendly platform. So teachers who don't know a lot about technology can come right in and learn it. It's universal. I mean, here in how many different countries we've used Moodle, and so around the world you can have access to it. I think it's also important for them to know, or important for them to see with the platform that kids are learning and the kids are able to use it, that it's user-friendly when they take it home at night, because their parents have to be able to really pick up on it as well.
So what would you say is your biggest tip for teachers in using Moodle?
My biggest tip for teachers in using Moodle is to love the technology, enjoy it. Don't be flustered if you go to class and try something and it totally flops. Still take risks, and if it bombs, get up and do it again the next day. Keep learning, always learning. It's always changing, always learning more. And then just really be flexible with students and with parents. And then, of course, to remember all of the things about the bullying that can take place, all of those things, but just to enjoy it and to realize it is part of our lifestyle now. Technology is here. I think it's here to stay, and we shouldn't be afraid of it, but we need to charge ahead, lead the way, train our kids in it, and teach them how to use it responsibly and academically and educationally.
Awesome. So my last actual question then would be, what is your biggest tip then for the students in using Moodle?
Okay, for the students in using Moodle is to love it, to realize that this is a way that we learn, that you can take online classes for college, and that you can learn so much through sharing ideas together, which is what you can do in that classroom.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Any last minute thoughts on Moodle? Anything that I didn't ask? That's important to know.
I just have to say, you're an amazing teacher, and I love watching you use technology and leading the way at SCS for using technology in the classroom.
Thank you. All right, well, thanks again.
Right.